Jesus, boys, girls, and twins, welcome back to part 2 of my tutorial for Street Fighter V. So, welcome back. I'm glad you guys really enjoyed the first one. I got a lot of positive feedback so far, which is great because I'm gonna be honest, I recorded that in like about 2 hours on a weeknight after work, and as a result, the editing was a little bit wonky and whatnot, but it's the weekend now, I have a bit more time to do this, so hopefully gonna have a little bit more of quality here is what I'm trying to say. Playing Ryu and Ken. I will switch back to Cammy a little bit later on to show off some different points, but right now I really want Ryu to show you some of the basic stuff that we didn't really cover in the first one, and to go over some stuff that I didn't really get to cover quite as clearly as I would really like to. So let's jump into this. Now, one of the first things I really want to show you guys is the concept of priority, because a lot of people have this concept about fighting games that different moves have different priorities, which is to say that one move has a higher priority than another one. That a move is just designed that it will beat everything else, and that may be the case with other fighting games. I don't know, I haven't played all of them, but it's definitely not the case in Street Fighter. There is no priority in Street Fighter. What there is, however, is that there are different moves that are invulnerable in different ways, and that can come across as being a priority thing if you are uninitiated. For example, let's talk about the priority of just raw invincibility. Now, a great move that has a lot of raw invincibility is the old DP, the Dragon Punch. Has a lot of invincibility. Let me show you how. So let's go to Ken here. Probably would have been smarter to actually like record stuff before I started this, but screw it. Fuck it, let's just jump right in. So let's go start recording here. So Ken can throw us a fireball. All right, that's all we want from Ken. Slot one on. Alright, so as you can see here, the EX-DP, EX Dragon Punch, has enough invincibility on it that just cannot be touched by the fireball, period. You can actually see there, it actually passes straight through him. So he has total invincibility to projectiles and to pretty much anything else while he's doing this move, because he's spending 1 meter. And when you're spending 1 meter of your EX gauge, you expect a little bit of razzle-dazzle, a little bit of bang for your buck. And that is the invulnerability of this move. And what that means is that when he's throwing it out, if we can do some reaction, we can kick the crap out of him as he's doing it. One more time. So you see that the fireball starts to come out, but the invincibility from the Dragon Punch just clean beats it. We might even be able to do it as the fireball comes out a little bit later. Let's see if we can do that. I haven't tested this, but we'll try. Yeah, so the fireball even comes out and we still beat it, because we're just that fucking invincible while we're doing the move. So we can turn that off now, that's fine. So that is the concept of invincibility. Different moves have different types of invincibility. Some moves are just invulnerable to projectiles, specifically. I showed you that in the first video with Cammy's EX Spiral Arrow passing through a projectile. That was projectile invincible, but it's not hit invincible. So what that means is that the EX Spiral Arrow can go through projectiles, but it can't go through actual physical attacks. It will still get hit by them, whereas the EX Dragon Punch has full invincibility. So if we get Ken just doing something else, say if we get him doing a physical attack here, so let's just go to start recording here on slot 1. That's fine. So let's just go, just getting medium sweeps, or crouching mediums. And let's go back to playback here. And recording slot on. So, 2, 3. You're supposed to block him. There we go. So we beat it out. Obviously, I'm doing this stuff on the fly, so it's a little bit hard to time some of it. But yes, you get the idea that it's also just clean beat his physical attack as well, so that's fine. So that's just the concept of invincibility in this game. So there is no priority, there is just in different types of invincibility. Another type of invincibility, not invincibility, don't know why I was saying that, is, let's start recording, a thing called throw invincibility. And throw invincibility is what you get off of backdashes. So backdashes in this game are throw invincible, but they're not hit invincible. I'll give you an example here. So I'll just start the recording again. Actually, no, we don't have to start recording again. Thank you very much. I'm so pro. All right, so sweep, walk up, grab. All right, so let's show what happens when we do this. So you can have that on. So he's going to do this again. I'll just let it run through. So he sweeps us and grabs us as soon as it comes up. Now, if we block that or anything else, it's still going to actually connect with us Can't jab him out of it, which I showed you in the last video, which is kind of annoying. But I'll let him do it one more time here. Now watch what's my backdash. Can't grab me. So the backdash is throw invincible, so that which makes the throw whiff. Whereas as before, if I just let it rock, it doesn't matter where he is, he will always grab me as soon as I come out of wake up. So that is throw invincibility. So you have the three types of invincibility. You have complete invincibility, you have throw invincibility, and you have your projectile invincibility. So let's just turn that off again, just for now. Thank you, Ken. Good job. For you for change. Haha! Alright, let's move on from there. So so to recap, that is just how the invincibility in this game works. If you have two moves that are fully invincible, collide with each other, they'll actually just trade. You know, is the usual, they'll either trade, or in some cases they'll both pass through each other. It's kind of weird, and it just really comes down to how the game wants to decide how those things come out. Let's move on to chip damage. Now there's a few different types of chip damage in this game. So first of all, we're going to set our buddy Ken to just doing all block, basically. CPU dummy, so guard, we want guard all. So he's going to guard everything. So there's two different types of chip in this game. There is projectile chip. Now what I want you to do is I want you to watch Ken's health bar on the top right hand side. Okay? So first type of chip is from special attacks. So your fireballs, for example, are a great example of chip damage. You can see his life bar, if I keep this up, is actually slowly going down. One tiny red chip at a time, because special moves will actually remove a tiny portion of your life, even if you block them, and that's just how they work. That's the way they've always worked since Street Fighter forever. Basically, if we do a super, it'll take off a lot more in chip. See? So that's the first type of chip. So it doesn't matter what you're doing when you block, you'll always take a small amount of chip damage. The second type of chip in this game, which was introduced completely in Street Fighter V, which is called white chip. Now white damage, white chip is something that was in Street Fighter 4 when you got focus attacks and moves that had armor, but Street Fighter V takes it to a whole nother level because now regular attacks will do white chips. So watch what happens if we just start woofing on Ken here. You can see his life bar is actually going down, although it's not actually depleting the same way that it was before. It's actually going down, but keeping, if I can keep the pressure on long enough, you can see white sections of it are being removed, but it's still staying there as white actual health in the bar. It's just not green health. And what that means is that damage there is temporary damage. And what can happen is, if you manage to avoid getting hit for a couple of seconds, it will actually automatically start to recover that white damage. But however, if you get hit by it, which we will show off here, if we take the guard state to none, so we take this to no guard and quickly hit him, what will happen is you'll see all that life deplete completely. So if you take a whole ton of white damage and get hit once by one tiny little jab, that one jab will take off all the white damage as well, which is obviously a pretty big fucking problem. So you have to keep that in mind with this game, that you have that basic health management system in place to keep you from basically playing too defensive, because Street Fighter 4, the biggest criticism that game had, and Street Fighter Cross Tekken that came after it, which was actually killed off after about 18 months of play, was the fact that both games rewarded you playing defensively too much. And so Capcom really wanted to avoid that happening again in this game, so they made it that basically people who play defensively, or what is known as turtling as a playstyle, because you're just being very defensive and hiding beneath your shell, were not rewarded, essentially. Alright, the next part that I want to talk to you about is cross-ups. Now, this is something which you'll find in a few other fighting games, but it's something that I think originated from Street Fighter, and it is something that is very important to your offense and ability to mix up, which we'll get into a little bit later. Now, if you're very new to fighting games or just Street Fighter in general, obviously you know how to attack, you know how to jump in and press your buttons and do all this stuff, and at the same time, you've done the tutorial, so you know how to block. You have to hold away from your opponent to block, and that's pretty simple. You either hold back or you hold crouch back to block high or low attacks, and that's that, right? No, you silly scrub. There's one more thing you haven't taken into account, and that is the cross-up. So what a cross-up is, in a nutshell, before I actually show you, is an attack. Now, this doesn't work for all attacks. There are only certain moves each character has that will allow them to cross up. And in Ryu's case, it's going to be his jump medium kick that we're showing off. Some characters have more than one cross-up, some don't. Some of them have good cross-ups. In the case of Ryu, some of them have terrible cross-ups in the case of Cammy, which I'll show off again later on. But jump medium kick is what we're seeing here. Pretty simple. Now, what cross-ups means is that when you cross up your opponent, instead of holding back to block, because you're attacking them from in front, you're actually going to attack them on the far side, which means instead of holding back, they have to hold towards to block it. Watch this. So this is our regular one. We've just been showing you up until now, which is fine, it's here on the front. But what happens if we just start a little bit closer than we would normally? Say around here, this may do it, it may not. I haven't spaced it out properly yet. And boom! Cross up. You actually saw it appear on the side there. Let me show it to you again. Cross up. So you actually see the attack physically hit Ken on his rear shoulder. And that's what it is. It's cross up. So it's actually hitting him on the far side. So in order to block that, Ken would have actually had to hold forward at the last second instead of back to be able to block it. So if he'd held back, what would happen is that it's relative to where Ryu is. Because Ryu is on this side when the attack actually lands, it means he still has to hold away from Ryu, but Ryu is on the opposite side from where he was a second ago, which means in reality, you're really holding forward. Let's just say holding forward for the sake of simplicity. So what that means is that it gives you a whole new opportunity to open up combos, because normally, obviously, you can just do jump medium, crouch medium, fireball, for example, and you can do that to Ken on the far side as well. Or you can do other combos. You can do tatsus, things like that. So, as I said, whole new world of opportunities for offense, and it's something which is honestly really fucking good, and I highly recommend that if you haven't found out what your cross-up is for your character already, you look right into that, because as I said, it's just a way to open up your opponent and keep them guessing for the mix-up. Alright, let's talk about baiting. Now, baiting is a strategy that when you're putting your opponent under pressure, let's say that you're putting him into the corner, you're laying on the hurt, you're getting their health down, the more you apply pressure to them, the more you reduce their health, the more desperate they're going to get, especially after knockdowns. So what that means is that obviously after knockdown, you want to be able to continue your pressure. You want to be able to get the knockdown and then do whatever it is you're going to do. Jump ins, things like that. You want to keep the pressure going after the knockdown, which again, I'll get into a little bit later when we talk about mix-ups. But let's say you got them knocked down and they want to get you just the hell off of them. What are they going to do? They're going to do a wake-up reversal, which is going to look something like this. So let's just say Ken wants to do some terrible offense by doing a sweep and then just doing a bunch of jabs on wake up as Ryu wakes up in order to keep the pressure on, which you'll see here. So sweep, and oh my god! Now obviously we looked into this a little bit last time with jabbing to beat out other moves, and it works. I can't get moves out until he finishes jabbing. So even if I try to get, like, say, a tatsu off or something like that, it still wouldn't work. No. But okay, so let's look at that move from before. Let's look at the invincibility moves. Let's look at, say, EXTP. Oh! Suddenly Ken's off us. Suddenly we've stopped his momentum. And you think to yourself, that's fantastic. I've managed to stop his momentum. I've bought myself a second to breathe and some space to work with. Right? Great. Let's turn this off for now. We've proven our point here. So you might think to yourself, that's an awesome, that's great. Like I said, I can get myself that room to breathe. I can see Cell's offense. I can make him think twice about pressuring me, and that does absolutely work, except for the fact that it's also a really risky move to make, because if you do it and Ken were to block it, guess what's going to happen? Let's do this from the reverse. Let's record Ken to do a wake up DP. So let's start recording. And we're just going to get Ken to do DPs all day. Okay. DPs for days from Ken. Alright. Look at this again, this is something we did touch on in the previous episode, but I want to really reinforce this here. So let's turn this slot 1 on. Alright, now so we knock him down and we block. Oh my god! Now we can do our own DP because he's completely vulnerable. Oh, look at crush counter combos. My god. Let's switch to the other side. One more time. You know, it's just an opportunity which is just not worth the risk in some cases. Now, I'm not going to tell you to never do it, because there's a risk worth taking sometimes. But it's a risk which is something you should do very goddamn rarely, as you can see here, because again, there are just huge opportunities for being punished. Let's turn this off again, just because it's kind of distracting having it on. Like I said, it is necessary in some instances just because you do want to just stop their offense. But if you do it every single time you want to stop their offense, they're going to get YST game, they're going to punish you, and guess what? If you thought you were down on life before, you are going to be way further down on life once they're done punishing you for that DP that you did every other time you got knocked down. Thanks very much, guys. That's going to do it for now. There is another episode of Street Fighter tutorials on the way, so if you haven't liked, subscribed, shared, done all those things already, please do so to enjoy what's coming up. There'll also be a Cameo tutorial as well, so stick around. More content on the way. Kisses, hugs, belly rubs. I'll see you guys on the field of battle.